What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Mount Mulgraph Summit number 54, the Sketchy Style Animation inside Adobe After Effects. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to stylize an animation with some cool textures, a nice little expression, and overall cheesy animation to get a very stylized, sketchy look. So this is going to have a lot of very subtle effects in it, but all in all, it can turn out to be really cool if you did this in a larger project and not this small example I did. So this is going to be all about being sketchy today, unlike when your friend tells you to meet them in an alleyway at 2 in the morning. So let's go ahead and jump into Illustrator here and just draw up a quick little dog because I'm going to use that for the example. So a fun little tip actually is if you grab a rounded rectangle tool and you just before you let go and you like drag it out the shape and see the outline, you can press the left arrow key to go and get rid of all your rounds, or the right arrow key to round it as much as possible. So this changes with the size. If you made it larger and pressed the right arrow key, it would actually round itself more. So let's go ahead and just make it a rectangle here with a left key, and you can do up or down. If you hold up, it will actually slowly and gradually change the amount of roundness on this little shape here. So I will release it and immediately have a wonderful dog's body for us to animate. So I'm going to go ahead and just create 2 legs here. Just something nice and basic today. So maybe drag this guy back, and we will just copy this by dragging it out and line it up with the front and maybe lift it up a little bit. And these are going to turn into the back legs of this wonderful dog. So throw those guys in the back. We are about halfway done with Illustrator already today. And just draw a quick little head over here, and we'll make it the same color as his body. A nice little tip when you're working with a very limited color palette is to add shadows, but not typical shadows, I guess you'd say. So what you can do is you can copy this shape here and do Shift-Command-V and Shift-Command-V, which paste the object in place twice, and lift it up over here. And grab the one right beneath and use your Pathfinder to cut it out, and then you have this shape that we cut out. So it's kind of like a clipping mask, except clipping masks don't import into After Effects. So that's kind of why I use this technique. And then I'll just add a little shadow, so now we have some definition back in our dog's head, and you can tell it's a different body part. So let's go ahead and just drag a little nose here, just for some kind of character, and maybe some quick eyes as well. And this doesn't have to be that fancy for today. And I guess it kind of works that it's a silly looking animation for this style. You obviously wouldn't want to do something very serious because people would not even understand what you're trying to do. So anyway, I'll draw a little tail here and drop that guy in there. That's a pretty funny looking tail. And then we'll just make 2 quick ears, and we are going to call it good. So I might just drag it up over here and just another one over here. So sweet, that looks great. It's a very exciting looking dog. It's perfectly proportional to the real life, as you can see. Throw this in the back, and now what we're going to do is just separate this into layers so it's really easy for us to animate in After Effects. And I might actually make this front layer the same color as his body. Just, I don't know if that looks better or worse. I have no idea right now. So let's go ahead and create, let's call it 6 layers. And what we're also going to do is create a background layer. So I'll just draw a giant rectangle, and this is just going to be used for the background of the scene. I always design in Illustrator just because it's easier to get a sense of color and scaling and whatnot. So I'm going to drag this beneath all my other layers and just call this layer background. So I'll lock this layer, and then from there, we're going to go ahead and just grab these 2 back legs and use them as a group, and we're going to just drag them onto layer 2, and then we're going to grab the front legs and drag this onto layer 3. We'll grab the body and grab this onto layer 4, and the tail we'll put onto layer 5. If I can grab it. So we're just about there. Next we'll grab layer 1, just drag it up to the top, and let's separate these ears actually. So we'll do 2 more layers and just drop the ear on one layer and this other ear on another layer. So we should be all set up. Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. And yeah, that looks great. Maybe this will actually be orange. I can't tell. I don't know what to do with this ear here. So that is all good. Let's go ahead and just save this somewhere. I'm going to save it to my desktop as a dog, or Doog, I guess, and press enter, and jump on into After Effects, and let's see what we can do today. So we're going to go ahead and just import our dog character illustration, and make sure to import as composition and retain layer sizes just so it imports correctly. We'll double click into this composition. I can actually delete this color palette. We don't really need it. Oh, looks like I get to keep it. So that's great. I'm going to right click actually and go down to create shapes to vector layers. Actually, what I'll do is if you ever import an object and it's still an Illustrator file with this icon, you can just go back into Illustrator and delete whatever object you didn't want and press Command S to save, and it's dynamically linked, so it'll actually delete and also mess up everything else I did. But I'll just kind of drag this over here. For the most part, it works pretty great most of the time. So anyway, let's go ahead and just grab our background and scale this up quite a bit so it fills the whole window, and we'll lock this layer. And now what we're going to do is just make a quick little animation. So depending what your timeline length is, you might want to knock it down. Now mine's set to 20 seconds, which is too much. So I will press N on my keyboard to set my work area, right click my work area and trim comp to work area. And we're pretty set up. So let's go ahead and grab all our layers here and press P on our keyboard to grab our positional property, set a keyframe at 0 seconds, set keyframes at 1 second, and set some keyframes at 2 seconds. So we are just going to go ahead and play, and we won't see anything because all those keyframes are the same. So let's go ahead and grab both our ears and our tail and press R to bring up our rotation properties and set keyframes also at those areas. So at 0 seconds, 1 second, and the end. And I'm only doing that because I know I'm going to be rotating them just a little bit. We're going to keep this animation portion very light because it's not that important for the actual video. So we're going to go ahead and just jump between the halfway point of this two little areas. And this is how you can create a walk cycle pretty easy as well. So what we're going to do is just grab these front legs and lift them up, and we'll grab our back legs and lift them down. And then since we've already set our keyframe for the next one, it's going to look like a little walk, and we'll do to the second portion, we'll bring our front legs down and our back legs up. So this could look pretty silly, but we're going for a kind of cheesy little sketchy style, so it actually will work perfectly. And then we'll maybe rotate this tail on this top bit. I'm not worrying too much how it's going to look. It probably will look better if it looks a little junky, if that makes any sense. And then we'll do the same thing for the ears real quick. So we'll just rotate the ears, maybe lift them up, and rotate this one. And then on the second portion, we'll kind of drop them down a little bit. And I'm actually going to put this back layer one, so layer 7 behind everything, so it's actually sitting behind his head. So now when I play this, we have a nice little very exciting dog, and he just kind of runs around. Add a little bit of easing to all this real quick. And now what we're going to do is grab our dog layer, drag it into a new composition, and this is where the magic is going to happen. So let's make our composition just a little bit longer. So press Command K on your keyboard, if you can press your keys, which I could not. And I'm going to make this 12 seconds here. And now the magic part of this is to get the sketchy look. It's a very smooth animation right now, which is not very exciting. So what we're going to do is right click our dog layer and go to time and say enable time remapping. And this is where the expression I talked about at the beginning comes into play. So if I just go to my desktop, I actually saved it here. And this expression is from this guy called Dan Eberts, who is just really, really cool. He has a lot of expressions online that you can look at, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but this is easier than typing it, so I just copied it right here. So if we hold Option after you've copied your expression and click the time remap property, we're going to go ahead and press Command V to paste it in place, and as you can see, it jumps up in here. So you're just telling the computer to grab every fifth frame and play it twice, so you're going to get kind of like drop frames for this animation, so it's going to be kind of jittery, and that's going to look well for this kind of animation. So you do lose a little bit of time when you do that. Remember, our original composition was 2 minutes long, or 2 seconds long, and so now it's going to be about a little bit less than half the length. So what you can do is just set your work area smaller, and we'll just pretend that we did a longer animation. So as you can see, it's a very silly looking animation, but it definitely has a jumpy style. So that is the first step of this video, and the second step is going to be giving it this sketchy look that I think looks kind of cool. So what we're going to do is right click, go to an adjustment layer and add that to the composition, and we're going to call this sketchy. So the sketchy effect is literally one of my favorite effects. It is a turbulent displace, which is a very, very big effect. You can do so much stuff with it. So you grab your turbulent displace, throw it on your adjustment layer, and it's going to affect everything underneath it. So in our case, it is affecting this dog who looks like he came out on the the worst side of this back alley meeting that he had at 2 in the morning. So let's go ahead and crank up our complexity a lot. And we're going to start to see our dog just get real beat up, and just keep changing it until your character or animation you have sitting underneath the effect is almost not visible, or you can't even tell what the heck it is. And the reason we're doing this is because as you can see on these edges, it's very, very chalky and bad. And so in order to fix this, we're going to go into our size properties and just turn this effect down a little bit so it affects smaller areas. So just go down until you have a look you're happy with. I'm going to go down to about 8. So as you can see, we now have our animation. It's a little bit jumpy, and we also have very, very sketchy papery edges right in here. And you can turn your aliasing on a little bit better if you're not happy with how it looks, but that will max out your system a little bit more, but not too bad. So I'm going to turn this complexity down a little bit, and also my size I'm going to maybe turn down to, let's call it 6, so it's a little bit more subtle. So the one thing is, as this is playing, our actual edges aren't really ruffling, so it doesn't really look that like sketchy, I guess. So what you can do is use the classic effect of holding Option and clicking your evolution and adding a very awesome expression called times, and then you're going to multiply that, or click the asterisk key, by anything over 100. I would recommend something like 150. And that's just telling the evolution, so whatever it sits at, so whatever if it's 68, to times itself by 150, and you'll start to get actual ripples along the edges if I zoom in here. So as it plays, you start to get actual changes on the animation, so it looks more complex, which is great. So let's go ahead and take a look at our wonderful dog walking. So all these effects are both a little bit subtle. I'd say the chalk one sticks out a little bit more than the jumpiness, but the jumpiness really does help with your animation. So let's go ahead and add a paper texture over the top of this. You can download paper textures, or really any textures, from this really awesome website called Lost and Taken, which I'll link below. They're all free, and they're just an incredible archive. The guy's done a great job. I use them for a lot of 3D projects, but I'm going to just drag this into our project window over here. And what we're going to do is just grab our paper texture, whatever one you chose, and place it in the composition. It's probably going to pop up in a funny way and face the wrong way, so we'll just rotate it till it fits the composition. Do Shift-Command-C to pre-compose it, and we're going to move all attributes into a new composition. And then we're going to click into our new composition, and what we're going to do is scale up our paper texture one more time so it's actually too large, and off-center it quite a bit. And then what we're going to do is add a little bit of animation to it. So press P for position and go forward in time to maybe like 4 seconds or something, and just scroll it across the screen. Really, really basic. So it looks pretty exciting. So what we're going to do is hop back into our main composition, and the paper texture is now going to move. Let's go ahead and overlay it over our animation by going into our mode and going down to a soft light. And so now it's going to sit over our animation, and you can change your opacity of this effect until you're happy with the amount of paper texture you have. So since this animation is now jittery in one part and really smooth in the background, you can kind of see the difference. So let's go ahead and make our paper texture also have that jumpy effect. So we'll right click, go down to time, enable time remapping, and double click E on your dog layer to see what expressions you've added. And we'll just copy this expression, hold Option and click time remap, and paste it into here, so it's also added to our paper texture layer. So now when I play it, it's actually also going to be jumpy. So we're starting to get this cool little effect. So in order to finish up this animation, I'm going to show you one more super awesome, I don't want to call it like a pro tip or anything. It's not really a pro tip. It's just something that's like kind of a funny little secret of Adobe stuff. So what this is in the original video I showed, I have these funny little lines that are swirling around. So you can do this in After Effects, or if you're lazy like me and find that Illustrator works better for you, is you can draw them in Illustrator. So I'll create a new composition, and I'll show you what you can do. So we'll just draw a really random line, and I just think this tool works better in Illustrator than it does in After Effects. So I now have this super complex line, and what we'll do is just grab the whole line, make sure all the points are selected, and do Command-C, and then we'll just hop back into our project here and just draw a really crappy shape. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And then we'll hold Command and toggle down all of our shape layers, and on our path option here, just select it and do Command-V to paste it. And we've now pasted the object we drew in Illustrator into here without importing anything. So this is really nice when you have just a path you'd like to import. And then from there we can go to Add and just click Trim Paths, and toggle down this option and maybe turn down our endpoint, and then you just animate your offset so you get this nice little circly thing flying through the scene. And so with this effect, all you'd have to do is drop it underneath your sketchy adjustment layer and also stylize it so it's nice and sketchy. So there it is. That is the Sketchy Style Animation inside After Effects. I hope you guys had fun with that one, and I will probably be putting up another video later today that is less childish. Anyway, guys, I hope you had fun with that. Leave a like, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks a lot for checking out Mount MoGraph. Rock on. Peace out.